All right, everybody, this will be, I'm running for President 2024. Warning to all you politicians. Running for President 2024, Part 13. And just a quick recap for anybody out there. This will be missed the deadline for this election. So this will be the first ever, I think first ever. If it's not, I'm sorry for saying that, but strictly YouTube election campaign for President of the United States. And whether it's me or somebody else that ever does it, I think it'd be a great thing if it was just the people. Not the news media involved, not these rallies, not all this stuff. I'm just going to state my opinions and ideas, and if you like them, come 2024, you write me in. And I think, I'm not sure what the process is. I'll have to go back and look at that. I think I have to officially fill out some paperwork and pay a $500 fee or present 5,000 signatures or something like that. But anyway, we'll get to that point. But this is just the idea here. This is just the idea that somebody can run for president in this country, and we take out all the lobbyists, all the special interest, all of that stuff, all the campaign, all the billions of dollars wasted on campaigns, all the hoopla. We get rid of all of that stuff, and it's just the people saying, I want this guy or that woman. That's it. Doesn't matter if it's me. We just have, that's it. And if enough people, write me in or whatever, and then on election day vote, then there you go. Or somebody else through this strictly YouTube campaign. I'm not asking for donations, volunteers, anything. Nothing at all. Just come 2020. You like my ideas, you like what I got to say, you write me in, and then vote for me in the election 2024. So that's the idea, that's the premise. So you might have heard me say some things before about, hey, I'm behind on my taxes, got some tax trouble, and well, why should we vote for somebody? I'm a working class guy. If there's anybody that's going to sit down and look at the tax codes and stuff like that, is going to be somebody who's had trouble with them and says, there's a problem, we got to straighten this out, how this is done. You might have heard me say I'm a high school dropout. Yes, I am. Didn't get my GED till I was 24. Went back and got it. Went to truck driving school through Rio Salado Community College in Arizona. Even got some college credits. I don't consider them real college credits because I went to truck driving school. But anyway, it's there. And I went into this business. I was in the restaurant business, did construction, stuff like that before. And as far as dropping out of school and everything, it was that point in my life, it made more sense to me to work full-time, have money in my pocket, be able to take care of myself than it did to go to school. There was never anything professional, career-wise, that I thought about, going to college and stuff like that except for maybe architecture. Interested me for a while there. Well, it still does, but that would have been the only professional type. Never had no aspirations for law or medicine or anything. I skipped the day we had to dissect frogs. Just not into that. So started working when I was 14. Actually, was probably still 13 right before my 14th birthday. Washing dishes, restaurants, moved up to cooking, and did some construction, some other stuff. But primarily restaurant work. Was going to be what started training for management and thought about career and all that and everything, and got married, and then it was well, I don't want to have to deal with this. I don't know how many of you ever had any restaurant experience, but I'm not dealing with this drama all the time, infighting on shifts and all this, and the money's not that great in the hours and stuff. Didn't see a future in that. Saw an ad for truck driving school. So, and as far as this job goes, it's got its ups and downs like anything else, but there are times I have better views looking out this windshield than some CEO who's making $20 million a year will ever have. Or other well-to-do people, unless they go on vacation or something. I see things most Americans don't get to see. I meet people most Americans don't get to meet. And then other times, ask me about sliding down a mountain on a sheet of ice on top of 80,000 pounds in the middle of winter, and or chaining up in the middle of the night to get up that mountain. Asking me about being caught out in the middle of nowhere with a tornado in the area, and you're trying to spot it with every lightning flash. As a matter of fact, go on YouTube here and look at, you can find, I forget what the exact titles were, but if you look like rookie driver experiences first tornado or first hailstorm, stuff like this, rookie truck driver, tornadoes, stuff like that. And there's I think some of them were from guys in Canada, and other ones were caught in like Kansas and stuff like that. And check that out and watch those videos. And I watching them like, welcome to the club, pal. Bet you got something to say, that truck driving school recruiter now. Yeah. So it has its ups and downs. And some of those downs make you wonder if you're about to die. So, but being away from home, all that kind of stuff for the hours, the pay kind of fluctuates with the economy, so you have to deal with that. And it's got its ups and downs. And I'm 55 now, probably still be doing this past retirement age. I don't know, we'll see what happens. I got some plans that if money-wise things work out, I might do something else, or who knows, maybe this will work. Maybe y'all vote for me. So anyhow, I talk a lot about mindsets and things like that. And the thing is, because I see it's becoming us versus them. Now, if you're criminal and stuff and everything, even with when you were a kid and you smoked pot or you were drinking beer and you weren't supposed to be and stuff, as far as the cops were concerned, it was us against them. You always were looking out. Where are they at? Oh man, they're dicks. They're doing this. And if you go into a life of criminal, as a criminal, you carry that attitude with you. Us versus them. And so now we're seeing politicians are using the us versus them in racial terms. You look at humanity, the history. I'm a bit of a history buff. You go back and you look at how many times religion and race, things like this, were used to incite people to war, and these types of things. It's easy to see. So I talk about mindsets because our brains are like sponges. We soak up what is around us, and if we don't ever look at the other point of view or anything like that, then you're talking about brainwashing to some certain extent. And when you mix drugs in with that, you are talking about brainwashing. So that's why I bring that stuff up a lot. And I see that us versus them. There's even been us versus them out here not so much anymore, but in this industry, back through the 90s and stuff, it was an us versus them with law enforcement for a large portion of drivers out here. They're only in it for the money. They're only pulling you over for the money. They're only doing an inspection for the money. That was the mindset. Not so much anymore. Here and there you hear guys saying that, but or here and there, what you hear now is some of the foreign guys who've come over this country, and I've had them come up to me and show me tickets, and be like, it's just the money. They just want the money. And you look at the ticket, and you look and see what it is, and the violation is, for a bad tire or something, and you go back and you look at the tire and it's got wires showing through it, and it's like, dude, you can't run on that tire. Well, my boss, he says, no, your boss is lying to you. You can't run on that. So some of these guys aren't even being trained and stuff, and they're getting that mindset that the only reason cops are saying anything or writing them up in tickets and everything is just because of the money. And it's like, dude, I'm surprised he let you go. He should have made somebody come out and fix this right here, but I run into that. And so it's mindsets. It's like, no, we gotta cut through all the crap, honestly, because most people get along with each other, no matter where they're from, what color their skin is, until somebody spike the punch and throw a bunch of BS in there to make people think differently about each other. That's another thing about this job. I've met people from all over the place. I mean, I took a container one time from Massachusetts over to Port of Tacoma, and it came from somewhere in Europe or something. Anyway, it was cheaper for them to ship this. It was construction equipment in this container. It was cheaper for them to ship it over here, truck it across the country, put it on a boat on the West Coast, and take it to the Siberia regions or whatever of Russia. To go to a construction site there than it was, because the rail system and everything was so bad in Russia and across there and everything, that it was cheaper and faster to send it that way. That's what I was told anyway, because when I got to Tacoma and they offloaded it onto the boat, the captain of the boat, it was a Russian vessel, invited me on. We went to his cabin while he signed the paperwork and everything, and showed me pictures of his family, showed me pictures of where he lived in Russia, and I'll tell you what, people who work the seas like that, run those boats, you're some hardy folks. I'm telling you. I don't care where you're from. You're a man or a woman these days of the seas. You're one hardy person, and down to earth person. And anyway, so we talked a little bit, and he said someday he was going to come here with his family for vacation and see the United States. So we can all get along. We're all human beings, There was a time I unloaded, took some helicopter parts to a port. I forget which one it was. I think, I can't remember. But anyway, they were unloading. It was the German military was here to do exercises with the U.S. military, and they were unloading helicopters off of these boats onto the docks, and the parts a lot of us had were blades and stuff like this, for some reason came in. I think I picked them up at an air terminal or something and brought them to the dock. Anyway, what was amazing was they put them together right there in the dock and flew off in them. It was like crack the box open, snap them on, and fly off. But while we were there and that was going on, one of the German officers was talking to me and stuff and everything, and he said, how much he loved to come to America and all this, and when he retired, he was going to come here and become a citizen and this and that and everything. And so you get to meet a lot of people doing this. You get the best views sometimes. You get to see a lot of things. And that's another thing too. Like I said, these inner cities and stuff, lots of them, you get to see that too. You get to see the ugly side of America too. They look like bombed out war zones. But the thing is, these people get elected saying they're going to do something, they're going to help the inner city, which they're mostly people of color running for those positions. They get the city councils, they get the mayors and stuff. And I can listen to them when, passing through, you listen to the radio and stuff when those elections are going on and see debates, and they're going to help that community and this and that and blah, blah, blah. A year later, I drive through there, same neighborhood, still looks like a bombed out war zone. So promises, 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 promises. I guarantee you, if this works and I get elected, when I go to a city and I see an area that looks like that and I say we're going to fix this, it's going to be fixed. You understand? Elbows and assholes. people are going to be put to work. We're going to fix it. There's going to be no excuses. No excuses. So I wanted to put that out there. Mindset means a lot. How you think and perceive things. Still got people in this business out here all the time. Everybody's trying to rip them off. Everybody. The cost of this and everything. Yeah, the costs are. That's why you got to be a better businessman. The days of just the biggest, fastest truck you want and go down the road as fast as you can and everything, those are long gone. You got to be smart. You don't want an aerodynamic truck. Well, I'm sorry, I'll take my 8 miles per gallon versus your 6.5 or less even, and the $12,000-$16,000 in savings in my pocket instead of giving it to the truck stop over just being I'm gonna be the coolest looking, fastest SOB on the road. You got the money for that. You got the right freight, light freight, even dedicated deal. You can afford that and everything. More power to you. But most guys out here in this, don't do it that way. You gotta watch your money and be smart, because it is a very competitive business and the profit margins are not that great. And you have to be aware of freight lanes and freight rates, and it's a free market economy. You got to be worried about new regulations, government restrictions. Hey, they're going to put more pollution stuff on the trucks. It's going to cost you more money. Whatever it is. So I hope that helps people out there more understand that, hey, do I think this will actually work for me? No. But if it does, it does. I'm serious about it. This is a serious campaign. It'll be all strictly YouTube. I don't want anybody's money, anything like that. Just write it in. And it'll be by the people. Get voted in. Bypass all the hoopla and everything like that. Like I said, if you feel like it's a worthwhile cause, you feel like something deserves some cash, go out, whatever charity that you feel is worthwhile for you, whatever it is. Those types of children's hospitals, types of charities that feed refugees around the world, Doctors Without Borders, whatever it is, American Heart Association, ASPCA, whatever, your local church, your local food bank, your local mosque, whatever it is that you feel is worthwhile to receive some of your hard-earned dollars, go ahead and give it to that. And if you elect me, that's be more of that, what we feel deserves our dollars, instead of these politicians just running around with a blank checkbook and deciding they're going to take our money and give it to their cronies, whatever lobbyist supports them and gives them campaign money, because that's pretty much how it works. Well, with me, you don't have to worry about that, because I don't want your money. I'm not going to take any lobbyist money. I'm not going to take anybody's money. I'm going to tell you what I think and my ideas and what I would put into effect and what I think is, good for everybody in the country, not just a certain race, not just a certain wealth class, anything like that. Here you go. I'm going to lay it on the line. Here you go. This is where I'm at. This is where I stand. So no big campaigns, anything like that, and no big scandals. You won't have, all that crap to deal with. Here you go. Here's what I think. Do you agree? Vote for me. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Maybe it'll tip off somebody else more qualified than me, and they'll run their campaign like this. Woman or man, doesn't matter. Maybe they'll win. And the politicians will get the message. We don't need you. We don't need the way you do things. We do not need you people who are bought and sold and who come up with spin doctors and all these people who tell you these speeches to write, or they write speeches for you and all this and everything. You're just a mindless twit. You're a puppet who's taking money from people, and you have people who polish you and everything else to make you presentable to the American people. We don't need that. We don't need that. I'm a real guy. I'm a real working class guy. I come from a poor background, a split family. I believe in hard work. I believe in being a citizen. I think this country is a great place to be. So there you go. We don't need them and all their slogans and all their polished speeches and image making people who make them and everything. I'm just a real guy. I've got life experience. I like people. I believe people should be treated decently. They shouldn't have a whole bunch of things to make their lives difficult. I also believe they ought to be free to enjoy life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, and not be terrorized, intimidated by anybody because of their views or anything like that. So I'm going to touch on that again in another thing about Giuliani and stop and frisk and stuff like that, because if that stuff worked and it saved black lives, even though it temporarily you can say, well, I'll just talk about it now. It temporarily, violated people's civil rights. But if it worked, if it put crime down, if it saved the lives of young black men, then Giuliani and those officers who participated in that program, you know what? If you think about it logically, if they saved young black lives, then they're bigger heroes than Al Sharpton. You see what I'm saying? They actually did something that saved lives instead of going around making speeches about it. That's what I'm trying to say. Do you understand that? They actually did something. Because you can't have life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness if you're dead, can you? If you're a young black man who is killed and dead, you do not get your life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. So they actually did something to preserve the lives of young black men with stop and frisk, or other citizens in that neighborhood. They protected other people's civil rights to have life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness by temporarily violating, you could say, civil rights with stop and frisk. So you could actually say that. So we have to have these real discussions about things like this. And I think looking at that and the other arguments, whether or not you could put chips in a gun, which would just be electronic serial number, you wouldn't have, unless you live in a state where you're required to register, your name wouldn't be attached to it or anything. It'd just be serial number. Same with cell phones and cars, just an electronic serial number. Scanner picks it up. They don't even look at it unless there's a crime where one of those scanners was, and it says these numbers were in this area right here. Check them out. So people, that's a violation. No, it's not tracking you. It's tracking a product. That's it. And it's only divulging that product. They're only going to look at that product if there was a crime there or something. Do you see what I'm saying? And I think, honestly, if we're going to have conversations about gun rights and stuff, in this, if you look at it, people who are against gun rights and everything will be the first to say, well, we need some voter ID. stuff going and everything. If you look at the party splits on that. But the other party says, no, you can't have no voter ID. Well, the people who don't want voter ID, they want some gun laws and stuff, but then the gun people, no, you ain't getting that. It's the same argument. It's the same argument. Exact same argument. You're violating my rights. You're violating, we gotta have serious questions about that. I, for one, see nothing wrong with making sure people who vote in our elections are American citizens and that they are legally allowed to vote. I have no problem with background checks for firearms and stuff to make sure people are allowed to legally own that firearm. So we have to have serious discussions about things. We have to get things done. No more of the BS in the middle. No more spin doctors, speech writers. No more lobbyists. Here it is, the real deal. The real deal. I'm just going to say how I feel and think about stuff. You like it, you don't like it. It's up to you. You want to come 2024, you want to cast your vote for me. We'll get these things taken care of. And enough of the nonsense. Enough of the billions of dollars for elections and speechwriters and rallies and parties and fundraisers and all this stuff. I don't want your money. All I want you to do is give a listen, and if you like it, vote for me. And if there's another person out there who runs on YouTube or something like that, man or woman, you think what they're saying is better than what I'm saying, vote for them. So do I think I have a serious shot? No, not with what I'm up against with the all the hoopla out there and the billions of dollars, and whether or not enough people would take me seriously. But I am serious about it. I'm putting this out there very seriously. Come 2024, I will file the necessary paperwork, and what happens, happens. All right. Wish you all the best out there. Be safe. God bless.